Now. Oh.
There it is. Okay. Okay. Was at the doctor yesterday. He said I'm going to live at least through next week.
Man, well, you got more going for you than some people.
Nothing, no guarantees past that.
Sure.
It is the Brad and Britt cast. Thank you for coming along with us this day. We're live in the 1:30 p.m. Eastern time hour on the Twitter machine, Facebook, YouTube, everything else. And Britt, what do you think the chances are that we're going to be joined on the Twitter machine once again by Trump, in that Elon Musk has finally folded his hand and said, when I make an offer for $54 a share to buy Twitter, and then I try to back out of it, fuck it. I can't get out of it. Okay. Like everybody else, you sign a contract, they hold you to the contract. And then 3 days before he had to go to court and be deposed, I think he chickened out on Tuesday here and said, I can't take this anymore. All right, I'll buy the damn thing. Because there were these emails that were starting to come out from him and text messages that showed what a complete ass he is. He's being revealed to be the complete ass that you suspected him to be.
I got to say, I don't know if that's news to anybody. I don't know if that was the real motivator, that he's a massive
Britt,
dick. I don't know that that's really...
Britt, remember the way the world works. It doesn't matter what you know to be true is true unless there's video of it.
Yeah.
Where there's a text, it's got to be that way.
So he never figured that this stuff was going to come to light until the past 48 to 72 hours?
Well,
what a master negotiator. What a great billionaire genius he is. Yes, let's go to space.
Stare him down. I don't know what the thing is, but that all aside, he said months ago when he first made the offer that it was likely that he'd put Trump back on, who's been banned along with Facebook doing it for the last couple of years. And I'm looking at the timing on this. Facebook has already said, now Meta, that Trump's ban was always scheduled to be 2 years. So January 7th of 2023 was when the board of directors of Facebook would consider whether to lift the ban. This is Facebook.
They just didn't make that public. It was always going to be 2 years. It was double secret probation. You guys just didn't need to be aware of it, and we're going to take. And also, yeah, I think the idea that he's going to be back on Twitter has definitely improved over the past 24 hours. I think you're right about that, if that's what you were going for.
YouTube, which of course is a part of Google Alphabet, their CEO has said approximately the same thing. They said they would lift the ban if there was no longer a risk of incitement to violence.
Well,
okay. Well, okay. Well, no problem there. He has been Gandhi the last year and a half. I haven't heard a word from him.
Yeah.
About the possibility of inciting anything. So
he's completely shut up about the election being stolen in 2020 and all that stuff. He never even mentions it.
Yeah. All right.
I also feel like Dickhead the Magnificent there in Mar-a-Lago by way of New Jersey. I think he's going to pitch the idea that he should be paid to get on Twitter and to get paid to be back on these certain platforms. Well, certainly with his buddy Elon, he's going to feel like Elon, if you want me to be on Twitter, you're going to have to give me a significant amount of money to do that. I feel like that's going to happen.
Well, you're circling around about 5 conflicting areas here.
Yeah.
And we'll start with your first premise, which is everything is about making money to Trump. Everything.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
Well, his avenues of making money have really shrunk.
Yes, they
is
have.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes, they have. And just if we were just operating in an isolated world, yes, Twitter would pay Donald Trump to come back, please, because Twitter has become less relevant, fortunately or unfortunately, with Trump not being there anymore. I mean, again, I'm not speaking for, I feel so bad for either party here, you know that.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he was, yakking constantly and hitting what I think he had 80 million followers, and probably 70% of those were fake, right? We've learned that. Oh, wait, Britt, I got it. Twitter has a bot problem, a fake, except for Trump, right? No. They're all real, because anything legit. Associated with Trump would never be fake. It would always be real.
That's funny.
But he still had a lot of people that would get his messages directly into their phones when he would post. And so it is in Twitter's immediate, ravenous, capitalistic interest to have Trump back on there. That we know. However, because of the march of time, Twitter's financial issues revolve around largely advertising. And so if you put Trump back on there and he is Donald Trump, which he will be, do you close yourself off from new advertisers, renewing advertisers, just in general? People don't want to stay in Trump's hotels. People don't want to do anything associated with that company anymore. They're about to be put out of business forever in the state of New York, the Trump organization. So I think it's a double-edged sword, and maybe it's not such an easy call for us to think that Musk is going to automatically put him back on there. It may not be that simple, because from a cold, hard business calculation, I think Trump's a loser. He's a loser here, just like he is everywhere else.
Well, I don't know about that. I think this Truth Social was really it was going to turn the corner. I think this thing.
Well, exactly. By the way, that's the point. Look at that. You know what? That's the best argument against putting him back on Twitter. Look at that. He can't make it as Donald Trump, the pure version of him on his own social media site. I'm sure they have zero advertising, or if they do, it's the My Pillow guy and I'm falling and I can't get up, and all that kind of shit. Okay, I don't know what
jitterbug phones,
the Tommy Boy copper compression socks, stuff like that.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
The other news with Elon over the past week or so, we didn't get to talk about this because we were not doing our thing. Elon had a poll, and he was really basically just parroting Russian propaganda and saying that the war was Ukraine's fault. They should just go ahead and forget about Crimea. Crimea should just belong to Russia. And there are certain areas of Ukraine that should be ceded to Russia, and Ukraine should just get the fuck out and pray for peace. And that would be the end of it. And now the Ukrainian ambassador has told Elon Musk in no uncertain terms to fuck off.
Yeah, probably. In the coldest, hardest cash way, and I don't think he said give up parts of Ukraine that the Russians have been fighting in right now. I think it was just Crimea. He said, just give them Crimea. But the problem is, again, I'm the first person to ever say this, you can't trust Putin.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you going to have that signing ceremony? Where's that going to be? How's that going to work?
Well, I believe he's proposing peace in our time, isn't he?
Yeah. Well,
I think
there wouldn't be any.
I believe that's what he's essentially saying. It's the old, just give him that, and that'll be the end of it. He'll be perfectly happy. He won't take anything other than Crimea, and we'll be all set.
Right. He won't. We can't settle this unless we give him something that he already had no right to have in the first place.
And then I'm sure he'll stop. I'm sure his incursions on anything else will stop, and that'll be the end of it.
Here's the argument in favor of that, which is if it prevents the use of nuclear weapons by Putin, then, it probably might be worth it. Dirty deals have been done forever to buy time, to buy peace, and for financial gain. But I don't think it's going to happen. And you're sticking your nose in there where it probably doesn't belong, Elon Musk. This is not about you. It's not about you at all. And I think the timing of it is so horrible because just as Ukraine is basically kicking their ass all over the place.
That's true.
In areas that the Russians decided last week they would just announce property of us, property of Putin. They're already being tossed out of those areas that they had no right to be in the first place, with their soldiers cutting and running and leaving everything behind. So that's not the time where you wave the white flag. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. This is a fight for a democratic nation to be able to have its own borders secured. This is shit. And I know the youngsters don't know this, but right after World War II, these were the ground rules that were generally accepted by most of the world following World War II. And which country was the one that most blatantly stepped on those internationally recognized rules and norms after World War II? It was Russia. It was the Soviet Union, right? They grabbed Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, Albania, on Yugoslavia. They grabbed it all right? And because, in 1990, everything came unraveled, and Vladimir Putin he's older than I am, I think. He has these delusions to put the band back together. So why not start with Ukraine, which he immediately announces isn't a real country in the first place? So we're just going to send a few soldiers in there. They will be welcomed. Tell me if this doesn't sound familiar, with flowers and candy when we come and liberate you. And it's not working, and it shouldn't work.
69 years old. 69 years old is Vladimir.
He's older than me. So he's losing. Yeah. It's just this simple. Imagine what's going on over there. They're grabbing males off the streets, the ones who haven't tried to get out of Russia yet. And apparently anybody with money or influence is out of there. They are driving away as fast as they can. So not only is Putin losing the war, but he's losing what's left of the well-educated, intelligent class, which it is helpful to have a country with people who kind of know what the fuck is going on. I mean, you just don't want all people who are drunk most of the day, who like borscht and vodka, and that's their life.
That's cute. You forgot to work caviar in there, but you got about every stereotype you could in there. That's good.
Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me.
You missed the fish eggs there.
Right. So back to your original point. Elon Musk, shut the fuck up. The Ukrainians are obviously a committed force. They are dedicated to holding on to their country. And how dare you tell them to just throw in the towel and sue for peace? Give them crime. That's horrible. That's pretty bad for them.
Well, isn't it? I mean, it's so strange that you have so many people on the right who are like, let's negotiate for peace. Let's negotiate for peace. and you're negotiating with a terrorist. I thought we didn't negotiate with terrorists. That's like an old Reagan thing, right?
That's like everybody says it.
Everybody, it's been like, and we have all of these people, and I know Tucker Carlson is not the greatest, but at the same time, he does control a lot of thought in right-wing America. There's no question about he's a kook, he's an idiot, he's a moron. He's also probably top 5 when it comes to these polls for being the Republican nominee for president, right? And he does kind of control the ball in a lot of ways. And oh my God, I can't believe they're not trying to negotiate for peace. Well, you should try to negotiate for peace. Somebody needs to work out a peace deal. All this other horse shit, right?
I think this is a great Democratic talking point in the campaign here in the last month against Republican candidates. I mean, you're allowed to bring the question up of do you agree with Elon Musk that the Ukrainian, by the way, I think Ukraine and President Zelensky probably have the highest ratings of anything that you would poll about in this country across the board, all races, all creeds, all colors, all political affiliations, right? If he ain't man of the year, I don't know who is. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, who else could be? So let's ask these Republicans who are scared of their own shadow whether they think that the Ukrainians should throw in the towel on the brink of victory, and give it up. Let's ask them that question, and they'd pretend to. They'd make up something. I don't know what you're talking about. Who would ever do that? Blah blah. Who would ever say that?
Let me since I mentioned his name and we haven't, this is another one we have not been able to talk about. Tucker Carlson now has forwarded this talking point, and it's now just fact on his show, as I understand it, that the United States was the one that blew up that is it the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines between Russia and Germany. Joe Biden did. Now, again, the narrative on Fox is that Joe Biden is the biggest dementia-filled moron with no neural capacity whatsoever, who can't even remember his name, or he's someone who is a mastermind and can pull off blowing up a pipeline. It's one of those two things, right? Those are the two narratives on Fox. He's either the super evil genius or the guy that lets oatmeal run down the front of his face and onto his shirt every day because he's basically a plant. He's a vegetable, right?
I don't think it would take a genius to sign off on some kind of sabotage or something like that. But it doesn't make any sense. No. It makes so little sense for us to help strangle Western Europe and Germany in particular of energy at this moment. And again, let's look at the time that we're in. The Ukrainians have the upper hand. At some point, the Russians are going to want to export natural gas again, one way or the other, through the completed pipeline. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And it's anti-American. It's obnoxious. It's disgusting. And it's complete pro-Russian propaganda, of course, right, because the Russians would never do anything like that. Because as you know, since the start of the war, the Russians have been nothing but generous with their energy supply. So I can't imagine that they would try to completely close off any possibility of exporting natural gas to Western Europe. I can't imagine that they would do that. Again, these things are too stupid to discuss, but you're right. We have to deal with them because they do exist in this alternate universe of people who believe this kind of shit. That in effect, you ready? I guess we're the bad guys. We're always the bad guys, right? Oh wait, I thought the left used to say oh no, when Joe Biden's president. It's too stupid to talk about.
But it's front and center at 8:00 every night. I'll tell you that, on the #1 show on cable television.
I know, but it's really true. He doesn't run the country.
Does he though? It's strange. It seems wild because there were a lot of things that were too stupid for us to talk about, and a lot of that kind of blossomed into Mike Pence nearly being killed on January the 6th of 2021. You know?
All right. Other ideas here. Herschel.
Yeah.
Ron Johnson is full of shit. George Conway says the orange man in the orange jumpsuit is a pretty good possibility.
Nice.
And worst promotional idea of the year so far.
Let's do Herschel's Johnson, then we'll talk about Ron Johnson.
Herschel's Johnson. All right. We're about 24 hours into the story, so we assume that most of the folks know the broad outline of the story here, which is that Herschel Walker apparently paid in 2009 for a 24-year-old woman to get an abortion. And the Daily Beast, as we like to say in our business, they have the receipts. Mm-hmm. They have the canceled check. And by the way, always a good idea to pay for abortion services with a check. And I guess this woman actually kept the receipt. And no one has challenged the legitimacy of the material so far. Herschel Walker went on Sean Hannity on Monday night, and Sean Hannity, he must have been drinking because he actually played real journalist.
Oh no,
he did. He did. No. And it's not that hard to get Herschel Walker to sound stupid, but he did. And Herschel Walker was completely incoherent and incapable of defending himself, of course, because the story is true. If you add that in, he has nothing to say in his own defense except some talking points that have been drilled into his head about this is an attempt to divert from what people really care about, which is inflation and sending their kids to school. And that was his answer when Hannity asked him a couple different times.
Like Joe Biden is trying to turn your kids gay and trying to make your boys into girls and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, Hannity asked him the easiest question in the world, which was, do you know this woman? And he couldn't. And of course, the answer is, of course, he knows her.
Hamana.
So he just melts down right there and says something that's completely non-responsive.
Now he's threatening a lawsuit. He's threatening a lawsuit against these people.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, please and thank you, because they have this thing in lawsuits called discovery, and your ass is grass, if I may use a very, very old term.
Well, I posted something earlier this morning. I won't read it. I will do it from my pathetic memory here. I could read it, but I won't. Herschel Walker, when he became a professional football player, and by the way, Britt, you need to read the background story of Herschel Walker in Wrightsville, Georgia, where he grew up, and what he was all about at the University of Georgia, just how crazy it was for him. But anyway, it's a great piece. He goes to the USFL, right? Not the NFL.
The New Jersey Generals working for some asshole named Donald Trump.
Right. Now, the first year, Trump was not the owner of the team. It was in his second year.
Yeah.
So suddenly Trump is, paying Herschel Walker. There's lots of pictures of the two of them together back then. This must have been 1993? Something like
no,
that.
83.
83.
Yes.
Britt, the decades start to merge together at a certain point. Please.
I understand. No, I get it.
Please be kind. Okay. You know what? I was thinking of my daughter's birthday because she was 30 yesterday, and she was born in 92.
Oh my God. That's almost impossible to believe.
Yeah. That 30 years will get away from you fast if you don't
Big time.
Life
no,
comes at you fast.
I'm with you. I got a niece that's going to turn 30 in December. She was born the same year as your daughter there.
Yeah, it does happen. Anyway, so in the piece that I read about this, Herschel Walker back then was saying that I model all of my business dealings after what I see Donald Trump doing. In other words, he became a role model for Herschel Walker back then, kind of kind of a father figure. So that makes Herschel Walker a brother of Eric and Don Jr. in a sense. Get your arms around that one and think about that for a second. But Herschel Walker is trying to act like Trump when cornered, right? But when Trump got cornered on the Access Hollywood, or as it's often said, Hollywood Access tape, I love that mistake. He just barged ahead. He barged ahead and first questioned the legitimacy of the recording, right? And then gave a half-ass, nobody saw it, nobody noticed it, acknowledgement that it was him, and they just barreled on. And his supporters, what did they do? They said, okay, you're going to appoint Supreme Court justices that we like. You're going to give tax cuts to people that don't deserve it. We like that. We still support you, Don. We're the evangelical Christians of America.
And we've got this fucked up system called the Electoral College. It's going to allow you to win the election, even though you lost. When you lose, you win, Don. Those are your odds.
So here's the question. Herschel Walker caught in what is just classically the most hypocritical thing that you could imagine, which is he's running for Senate in Georgia as a no abortions, no way, no how, never, no rape, no incest exceptions, no nothing, okay? Because I'm fucking Herschel Walker, and I'll run over your ass, okay? I didn't win the fucking Heisman Trophy when I was a goddamn sophomore because I sucked. I was the greatest running back ever. So he runs on that platform, and then what happens? Turns out he paid for a woman to get an abortion. Again, just like Trump with the Hollywood Access Hollywood tape. That's got to kill him, right? The question is, and I know you've seen the piece, Eric Erickson, who's he's a pretty smart guy. I don't consider him to be a right-wing idiot at all. He's smart, and he thinks that this really could kill Herschel Walker's chances. I wonder. It's not about what Eric Erickson thinks. I just wonder whether at this point, this community of supporters, right-wing supporters, crossing through the evangelical Christian community, which was able to hold its nose and look the other way constantly, and you've read the books, you've read the articles, you've seen the pundits talk about this ability for these people to be so sanctimonious in public and fight 50 years to get Roe versus Wade overturned and then support the ultimate hypocrite, Donald Trump. And here's the ultimate hypocrite, Georgia style, Herschel Walker. So I ask you, Britt Whitmire, will this kill him? Go.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, it's either going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. This is just added to a bunch of stuff. And if he's got anybody in his orbit who can tell him to knock off the idea of the lawsuit talk, no, you're not going to win a lawsuit. As you say, they have the receipts. And by the way, you use the credit card to pay for the abortion. You get cash back or you get points on airlines. I don't understand.
Damn.
I mean, that's to me the greatest sin here is that he's not using the Discover card has those categories every month. I think abortion is usually like April, May, and you can get like 4 or 5% back.
You know, you're such an idiot. You know it's September, October, November. God, I was about to say, wow, you are a financial genius. We should make this a financial podcast, but that's a gaffe you can't come back from. Wrong months that Discover and their rotating categories had abortion in them. Nice try.
No, you got to stop the idea of the lawsuit. I don't know. I don't know if this really kills him or not. Honestly, to be complete, because again, you go back to the Trump stuff about we don't really care. We don't care if you're covered in filth and you banged a bunch of cheerleaders, at an ecstasy orgy. As long as you're the guy, we'll go along with you.
What was the famous quote from Governor Edwin Edwards in Louisiana? Live girl or a dead boy.
Yeah.
If you caught,
it was I think it was live boy and dead girl. I think it was live boy. I think that was it.
If he was caught with that might have been a career ender for him because he was a pretty corrupt guy.
Speaking of lawsuits, now we do need to get this one. His hero. Oh, I did want to say this. You know who was handing him the football there in New Jersey? who the quarterback who was turning around and handing him the football when he was playing for the Generals.
Was that Jim Kelly?
No, that would have been all-time top 5 Cleveland Browns franchise quarterback Brian Sipe.
Oh,
Brian
okay.
Sipe, who was signed by Donald Trump to be the quarterback.
But hang on, look at the difference there. Brian Sipe obviously was not affected whatsoever by the personality of Donald Trump. Went on to have a great career in Cleveland. That's right, kids. One time in the world, Cleveland had good quarterbacks. It was not in this century, but they did have them. Brian Sipe was one of them, and he's a great guy. I think he still lives in the area there. And
he does. He's considered an icon, and of course, through the suffering of the fans there, they still love him. The guy who owned the franchise there, he is Trump, filing a $475 million defamation suit against CNN.
I don't understand that. It should have been $495 million. We all know that. Britt, how many times has he tried this? And by the way, the heart of his lawsuit, I do believe, is that CNN was just saying the bad things about him, and they were leaving out the good things. Not fair. Here's my response to that. Okay, first of all, that's largely true, but it's not wholly true, and it wouldn't be true. Wouldn't matter if it was true. That's not worth $475 million. It just doesn't matter. And by the way, remember, you had another network called Fox, which is on there, everything you did that was bad was never seen, and all they did was show things that they thought were good. So that kind of balances out. And then he accuses CNN of distributing this to their audience all around the world. I thought nobody watched CNN. I thought they were dead. Why would you even care what's on CNN?
Well, it's the old. I mean, it's the old thing about. It's like
not going to get Britt. This is not going to even get out of the dugout to the batter's circle, to the home plate. It's get nowhere. It'll be thrown out faster, as I said on Facebook, faster than a Wendy's wrapper at a Trump lunch. Okay, and he throws them out fast.
If there was any sort of merit to a lawsuit, let's just pretend for a moment that he had a chance. I saw on the interstate on a billboard a couple of guys who talked about if you got a speeding ticket, you should call them. Those two guys are about 50 billion times more competent than the idiots he has working for him who call themselves attorneys right now.
Well,
I wouldn't put they couldn't beat a rap on anything. They couldn't beat the jaywalking rap and fucking, they couldn't.
You're actually 100% right, except I'm going to just make you sweat a little bit here. He's filing this in federal court in the Southern District of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And for all we know, and I don't know how they pick judges to hear cases, but you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hammond.
They might be able to find a Trump judge who will completely disregard the law and not throw this out before it gets to first base. Will not say there's absolutely no merit to this. You never know right now because, this would-be dictator has distorted the judicial system enough for that to happen. That's that's one thing. And of course it has no merits. There's just
no, it's dead. And again, the discovery part of any kind of trial would be something that would kick his ass. They would find out a number of things that would be so yes, please continue along this road, but at some point they pull out because they realize it's just going to be a huge fundraiser, right? They're just going to send out these stupid texts like I'm getting all the time about help my dad fight the bullshit media or whatever, and here they just take money from idiots.
Yeah. Here's what the lawsuit says. Beyond simply highlighting any negative information about the plaintiff, Trump, and ignoring all positive information about him, CNN has sought to use its massive influence, which I thought they didn't have, purportedly as a trusted news service to defame the plaintiff in the minds of its viewers. Relax, Don. Most people who watch CNN cannot be poisoned against you. You are defamation proof, okay? There are certain things beyond defamation. You ready? Dog shit, Hitler, vomit, you, okay? You can't be defamed. You cannot be defamed.
Dog shit, Hitler, and you.
Yeah. Well, by the way, that was part of that cognitive test that he remembered. Ready? Woman,
Camera.
dog shit, Hitler, me.
Camera. Oatmeal, me. I thought that was an ABC after school special. Dog shit, Hitler. Let's talk about George Conway.
All right.
Who, by the way, is an actual attorney and a pretty good one. So good. And he would never, ever work for Donald Trump.
Yeah, let me drag this one up here. Here we go. All right. This is great. I guess I should post this. It's in Salon. It's in salon.com. And the title of it is Trump, quote, will be convicted of multiple crimes. That's George Conway speaking. And he spoke to one of the really great writers, this guy named Chauncey De Vega. And it's more interesting to read George Conway's words in a more measured way than to see him, kind of cornered in these 3-minute hits on TV. And he explains very well his quick evolution right after the election in 2016 of saying, yeah, ripcord, please. I'm out. I'm out of Trump. I'm out of the Republican Party. They're done. And he says, and I think this is the way a lot of people who are Republicans who are going along with him were saying, that once he becomes president, he will see the importance, the gravity of the office and start to behave like adult. And it took George Conway probably the first 5 minutes of that inauguration speech, right? The famous, carnage speech.
Oh yeah, dystopia.
Yeah. The end of the world. And so he was out. And of course, at the same time, his wife had been the campaign manager right up before the election. So that's, I don't know we still can't figure out what to make to make of that. But his take is, and I really think this is true, that you're seeing the behavior right now. He is in such a downward psychological spiral that he really has become this suicide bomber to the United States, to its Constitution, to its electoral process. He just doesn't care. Mm-hmm. Nothing will get in his way. And when you see the stalling techniques that his lawyers are trying to use here to at least get this past the midterm election, I do believe, and this is not George Conway, this is Brad talking. I do believe that he thinks that if instantly there's a Republican majority, at least in the House of Representatives, that that'll be the end of the January 6th committee. But it wouldn't end, of course, until January. So we still have the rest of the year for that. But he thinks that it would become toothless. And Britt, have you heard this concept that if the Republicans get control of at least one house of the Congress, mm-hmm. that in order to stop Merrick Garland and the Justice Department in their tracks from continuing any kind of investigation into Trump, they are ready to shut down the entire government, a full government shutdown, no funding to anything, in order to strangle the Justice Department alone to stop their work. And as you said before, things that we could not fathom, that we couldn't imagine, that people who want the best for this country would be engaging in. I think they do it, Britt. Don't you?
Oh yeah. No, come on, forget it. Yeah, that's automatic.
because unfortunately, and it hasn't been written into our Constitution yet, it might be in pencil right after the November elections that, yes, the Speaker of the House can fire the Attorney General.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
take
definitely
that away. Right. In other words, you ready? I'm thinking about this out loud. In a lot of states, including North Carolina, some powers have been taken away from the governor by the legislature. You know all about this, right?
Mm-hmm,
They've taken away some abilities of the governor to do certain things. I can't think of what they are off the top of my head, but they're pretty important things. They might have to do with appointing different people to commissions and to other important positions, and now the legislature gets to do it. So, based on the theory that they're trying to perpetrate, I don't know whether they're hearing that case today in the Supreme Court or later this week, about state legislatures being able to overrule and have superior power over the state courts when it comes to election laws and rules. Why wouldn't they do that? That's right. Speaker of the House, God forbid, Kevin McCarthy, will be firing Merrick Garland on January 6th, 2023. I know that's crazy stuff. It doesn't make any sense.
But do they, I mean, anytime that you can go back even to the Clinton years when the Republicans shut down the government, they lose every single time. I mean, in terms of public opinion, in terms of almost anything, when Trump would shut down the government and then Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer would kick his ass, this happened time and time again, but they're still willing to do it.
Oh, sure, they're willing to do it. And fuck those Social Security checks going in. They don't need that shit. That's just welfare anyway, right? That's just welfare for old people, isn't it?
Well, as they've been like, oh, the Democrats are always trying to scare senior citizens, and Republicans try to fuck over senior citizens every single time. For like 60 years, they've been trying to fuck over senior citizens with Medicare, Social Security, trying to do this, privatize, put this in this account, do this, that, and all of these things. But then they accuse the Democrats of being scaremongers. I love that shit.
All right. One more thing today. Here it is. The worst promotional idea of the year so far. And it comes to us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hello.
We have a little place that sells burgers and frozen custard. It's called Kopp's, Kopp''S. At the beginning of the month, they put out their little calendar, a little menu of the great shit that's coming up, the special days, the special little celebrations that they're going to have. October 9th is supposed to be Hey Cupcake Day, but it turned out Hey Cupcake Day is related to some group that puts on something called National Pro-Life Cupcake Day.
Pro-Life Cupcake Day? Oh, fuck you guys.
Yes. That's a day. Again, the regular day is cupcakes are baked to honor the lives of those not yet born. That's right.
Oh, God.
To raise awareness. Cupcakes are a sweet way to get a conversation started on a difficult subject. Yeah, if you want a cupcake smashed in your fucking face, bring it up. God.
It's funny that you should end on that note because we do have to say happy trails to Loretta Lynn, one of the great country music performers of all time, one of the great American success stories, immortalized and filmed by Sissy Spacek more than 40 years ago in Coal Miner's Daughter. And yes, she did have a song in 1975 called The Pill, which did celebrate the freedom that birth control pills gave to American women. And she was promptly, as an icon, banned from country radio. So immediately what you should do when you finish listening to us is to go listen to The Pill, which is now available, at least for now, on YouTube. We don't know if Donald Trump resumes power, if that sort of stuff is going to be banned, or if Elon Musk gets his hands on Twitter, if you'll be able to talk about that. But The Pill and country music used to be edgy at one point in time, Brad.
Well, how long did the quote anger at Loretta Lynn last? About a minute?
I'm sure that there were some people who never forgave her, but eventually most people came around and wanted to see her in concert, and she was invited to state fairs and everything else.
I'll bet you that didn't even last into the next year. I mean, that was just a fucking nothing.
It was
by the way, but you know what? It took great courage for
It
her
did. It
to do
did.
that. It's not easy to go against your base.
It's a fantastic song, and if you've never heard it, you really should go listen to it and try to put it in the proper context of 1975, when she was putting that sort of thing out there and how she pissed off a lot of people. I'm surprised they didn't have like a whole steamroller just rolling over her 45s and her vinyl records in the parking lot of K shit somewhere out there in the Midwest, Brad.
Now, Britt, 1975, isn't that the Red Sox Cincinnati World Series?
That's the one. Carlton Fisk in his iconic waving the ball, trying to wave it fair down the line.
Yeah. So is that loser guy going to hit a home run tonight finally and just end this shit?
Okay. I'm going to just say this. For me personally, I don't like the Yankees, and I'm really sick of this Aaron Judge thing being pounded down our throats. But I get it. I get Major League Baseball, when football season starts, it basically disappears until the postseason pops up, and then a couple people pay attention to it. I get that he's the biggest star. He's a very handsome guy. He's on the biggest franchise, and so they have to stuff this down everybody's throat. I understand what's going on. I still reserve the right to be like annoyed by it. Is that okay?
Can I say? I think it would be better if he ties Roger Maris. I like that better.
You do like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's already done what he needs to do. How many games are left? Like 2?
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the playoffs actually start on Friday. So, yeah, a couple games. And then they're going to take Thursday off. So, yeah, I know that there are some sports fans who are like trying to watch college football and they try to cut in. Oh, my God, here it is. It's a chance in history. And they're annoyed by it, like way more than what I just said.
But, first of all, it's so stupid. Everybody has a phone. And the minute he hits it, it's going to be a notification on your phone.
Of course,
it might come in from Good Housekeeping. If you get their notifications, everybody will have it. So you don't have to sit there and follow it.
On one level, I'm somewhat impressed and happy because Major League Baseball has notoriously been very shitty at marketing their young talent, right? That's been a thing for like a long, long time. Now they're able to get this guy out there and interrupt your Wake Forest Clemson huge college matchup. So I'm happy that Major League Baseball on some level is attempting to try to push a good-looking young star in pinstripes.
I didn't think he was that young.
He's pretty young. I think he's about to sign a contract for about $50 million a year. Let me see how young he is. I'll Google this because this is
he's 30.
Oh, he is 30. Still, he's only got about 12 more years of production left. He's only going to sign a 10-year deal at $50 million per. So yeah, they've not been able to promote their talent very well, but they're doing a great job of it right now. So maybe some people will not. The new rules in baseball come in next year that are supposed to shorten the games by about 30 minutes.
Doesn't matter.
It's over. The NFL is so pervasive that it's just death.
Britt, it's like trying to convince your kids to listen to your music. If they like it, then that's fine. But you cannot shove it down their throats. But it's a great story. It's nice to have, and I hope he hits it. But I'm okay if he doesn't hit it too. He's already gotten it done. But of course, he should have an asterisk next to him anyway because he got extra games.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, he had the same number of games as Roger Maris.
Exact same number.
Yeah. All right. See you tomorrow.
See you.